The National African Farmers Union in Mpumalanga is concerned about an increase in farm killings. Farmers have appealed to the Department of Agriculture to come up with ways of reducing tensions in the province. Joining us to discuss this further is the union's president, Mr. Motsepe Matlala. A very good afternoon to you, sir, and thank you so much for your time. Now, as an organization, you've expressed concerns around the spate of farm killings, but it is noteworthy as well that the violence in farms is happening to both black and white farm workers and white farm owners. What do you believe is at the heart of this violence?
Well, I think the violence on farms that affect farm owners and farm workers, that affects black and white, has become a very urgent matter for all the people of South Africa to attend to. I believe that the attitudes are actually the major causes of this violence on farms. But thirdly, I believe that the fact that we have moved on in terms of the new democratic order in South Africa, there are some that do not want to agree that the status quo has changed. To this extent, our leadership believes that the solutions are very important to attend to rather than attending to the problems. What is disappointing, though, is that our government and especially the law enforcement agencies react to problems rather than resolving those problems in time before they begin, mindful, of course, of the fact that we do have intelligence in South Africa and in any other country. And I think it is the time for all the citizens, black and white, to truly begin to identify exactly what the solution should be. Because any country with respect that do not truly respect food security, it is actually going to be waiting for a lot of trouble going forward. It is our responsibility, not only government alone, particularly government and private sector, to sit together and really begin to identify the violence on farm, because it has a negative effect on the GDP, it has a negative effect on the food security. You cannot imagine to talk to a person that is hungry. Now, we know that we have enemies in our country, the enemy of lawlessness, the enemy of poverty, and many other things, enemies of criminalities. And I think that this lawlessness that I'm talking about need to be attended to like yesterday.
And this lawlessness that you speak of, lawlessness from the side of whom? Criminality from whom?
Well, if I understand your question, many other people can actually politicize this matter, and maybe it may actually make some very famous. But what remains the truth is that the leadership of South Africa, government included, and many others, have a duty to truly identify the solutions, whether these killings or criminalities come from the white farmers. But we must not forget that even the black people are also killing. So we cannot justify the killings just because it has been done by the white or it has been done by the blacks. I live on farms just like I'm talking to you on the farm. And I would like to suggest that the researchers must now really come into this matter. Government cannot solve this matter alone. I think the private sector, and I'm sorry, I have to say, the rich people must actually open their pockets to put a very good research on this to understand exactly what the causes are. No point of politics. It is about time that we address the solutions of all farmers, because we have one country, we have one constitution, we are one people, and really those who are ill-disciplined, not adhering to the laws, must be punished adequately by our law. So therefore, whether we are black, whether we are...
Mr. Matlala, you spoke earlier on, Mr. Matlala, about the strained racial relations. You pointed to attitudes and people not accepting that the country has moved on, that apartheid is no longer part of the fabric of South Africa and how things are run and done here. But how does one actually start tackling race relations, specifically in farm areas?
Remember, this is a very strategic question, but rather very difficult question you are asking. Remember that from the historical point of view, black people were not even allowed to have farms, were not even allowed to buy property. But coming closer to your question, I would like to think that much as many people can criticize the people that want to cling to the status quo, that want to perpetuate apartheid mentalities, are not many. According to research, they are only about 10% or less. And of course, I want to say that there are organizations in our country, unfortunately, that are selling fear, that are promoting this instability in a very sophisticated manner. And I think these organizations, with respect, are even making serious money in the promotions of poor relations on the South African farms or on the South African agricultural sector. However, I think that the farmer organizations have actually, through what we call ASUP, come together. I think we have these organizations of farmers that need to discuss these matters, that need to explain the causes with government and private sector. We are capable, we have the capacity, I want to think, that all of us as South Africans can really and truly identify the truth of the causes of these criminalities on farms, because there will be no need to really begin to point fingers. All of us across the board, we are definitely responsible for what is happening on farms.
Mr. Matlala, we saw the Minister Thoko Didiza visiting Mpumalanga, and she pointed to the importance of a successful land reform process. Do you think that this will go a long way in adjusting relations in rural areas and specifically in rural farming communities?
I really think that Minister Thoko Didiza's intervention was very impactful in the following manner. It is not always that a minister of South Africa or Minister of Agriculture would bring about black and white farmers and stakeholders under the same roof. And I think her message was absolutely very acceptable. And I think it gives people the opportunity to interact with her. And I think wherever she may be, she will be in a position to can tell her colleagues about her experiences in relation to the challenges that black and whites are facing on farms. And I think it is time, as he called, for all of us to work together, for all of us to solve our problems as a collective between government, between private sector and the farmers, because the farmers, whether they are yellow or green, contribute a lot of a lot of food to everybody, whether those people that are receiving the food are criminals, are law-abiding, but they are really doing a very strategic job. I think the minister was very, very, very welcomed in that meeting, and I think all of us have given her our challenges, and I am hopeful that the president of this country and his cabinet would engage on the challenges that we have given them, not only black farmers, they were also white farmers, because the Minister of Agriculture is not a minister of black farmers, he's a minister of farmers in South Africa, of people that have interest in the farming communities and everything.
Mr. Matlala, I thank you very much. Unfortunately, time no longer on our side, but thank you for painting the picture of the interventions that ought to be made in farming communities. That there is the president of the National African Farmers Union, Mr. Motsepe Matlala.